Vous avez un véhicule bien entretenu, en bonne condition? Ça tombe bien, c'est exactement ce qu'on cherche chez Gervais Auto. Paiement le jour même, transaction rapide et sans tracas. Pas mal mieux que sur Marketplace, hein? En février, faites affaire avec la référence en Mauricie. Rendez-vous sur le gervaiauto.com. En février, l'équipe Gervais Auto continue de grandir. On recrute des représentants des ventes, des mécaniciens automobiles et des pros de la finance dans le domaine de l'auto. Ça t'intéresse? Envoie-nous tes infos maintenant à rh@gervaiauto.com.
So you've heard the word shrinkflation, right? It kind of came into prominence post the COVID pandemic when, I guess, manufacturers decided everything was starting to cost more. They had to find a way to deal with that. And instead, because apparently we, consumers, react far more strongly to changes in price than we do to changes in quantity, right? Which is really interesting when you consider, right? First thing, we look at the price. Otherwise, if the package looks the same, we can't really tell if it's a lot bigger or a lot smaller. Just like, oh, the price is still good. Well, retailers have figured that out because we're suckers when it comes to that as consumers. Our next guest is going to talk about that and why we maybe don't pick up on that cue. Preet Banerjee is a PhD, founder of YourMoneyDegree.com, a financial literacy program, and he is on the line. Preet, thanks for being here this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me, Aaron.
Let me start with that part about, right, we react far more strongly to changes in price than to changes in quantity, and obviously manufacturers know that.
Yeah, they figured this out a long time ago, and so if you want to increase your unit price as a retailer, you can either increase the price for the same size packaging, or you can hold the pricing steady and decrease the size of the packaging. And it turns out that depending on which of these two mechanisms you use, people respond differently. And it's about a 2-to-1 ratio in how much we reduce our buying behavior, which means that if you increase the price by 1% versus decreasing the size by 1%, we will buy less when the price increases compared to when the size decreases. But over time, what happens is, let's say you buy something once per month and it lasts you 4 weeks. Well, if you have shrinkflation going on, you don't notice that you're buying less until you realize, you know what, I have to restock this item after 3 weeks, not after 4 weeks. So what's interesting is that the overall sales of these products actually goes up over time because people are buying more of this stuff because of shrinkflation.
How are we not noticing this? You know, consumers are so sharp these days, right? We know what everything is per gram, per ounce, whatever. How'd they pull this one over on us?
Well, I think it's because, this strategy is found more often in the staples that we buy on autopilot. So, everyone has a few items that is always going to be going into their grocery cart every time they go to the grocery store. And this is where we see it most effective because, again, people are kind of shopping for these items on autopilot. So they don't tend to notice it until people start talking about it. There's always someone who sort of does a little bit of digging and then, posts on a Facebook group, said, hey, have you noticed that such and such product has decreased in size? And for me, I can tell you my own personal story with shrinkflation, which is when I first noticed it. And this was with the Cadbury cream egg. So I was addicted to these things as a kid. And one year, because they're only released seasonally towards Easter, one year I was like, hey, these kind of feel a little bit smaller. And I went online and found out there was an entire furor of people who had noticed the exact same thing. It had gone from 39 grams to 34 grams. The price was the same. And that's when I sort of, realized for the first time the power of shrinkflation, because I also, I didn't stop buying those Cadbury cream eggs. I kept on eating them. So I noticed it, but I kept on buying it.
By the way, I'm curious, so when you do notice this as a consumer, right, and people I'm sure did at some point, or maybe you still do, but just not to a greater degree, is there ever pushback? I mean, do the manufacturers kind of say, oh, you caught us, so we're going to make sure we don't keep doing this, or does it really matter at all?
I think there might be some isolated incidents where that did happen, where maybe they made a change back to original sizing, but it's so rare that this strategy is now relatively commonplace for retailers and manufacturers. So they know that over the long haul this works. And while there might be some people who on principle or out of spite will switch to a competitor, overall, in the aggregate, people end up buying more of this product over time. So the strategy works, and I think one of the reasons it works is because maybe we don't notice until it's too late or it's not enough of a sting. So what's going to be happening is something that already exists in Quebec but not elsewhere in Canada. mandatory standardized unit pricing showing up on the labels at grocery stores. So Quebec is the only province where it is regulated and standardized so that when you are shopping, you see the big item price, but on the label, in usually a pretty small font, it'll give you the unit price. Elsewhere in Canada, it's voluntary for retailers to put this on their pricing labels, and sometimes they don't use the same unit, which makes it hard to make a comparison. So, for example, you might see orange juice from one company, and it's priced, the unit price is, X number of dollars per liter, and then a competitor is priced X number of dollars per 250 milliliters. And that extra step of mental math makes it impossible for people to compare in the moment.
Yeah, which is people giving up, and there we are, we're stuck with what we had. By the way, you mentioned, I wasn't aware of this, where would this be in other situations beyond just food?
Well, anything at the grocery store, take a look at the unit pricing, and you'll be able to more quickly detect if something is maybe subject to shrinkflation, because it's going to be a little bit more in your face, a little bit more salient. But shrinkflation overall is a strategy that you can see outside grocery stores because psychologically this works. So, as soon as one industry has figured out, hey, if we want to increase our margins, maybe we don't increase the price. We do it a little bit more stealthily by reducing the package size slightly. Then, other industries are going to copycat that. So you'll probably see it anywhere that you start looking for it.
I want to know where that. I mean, what other areas would it be in if not food? I'm not going to go to a clothing store and discover that, the cotton T-shirt I'm buying actually contains less cotton than I thought I was getting last time. How does it work?
Well, you can think of, things from other stores that you buy from as part of your regular buying experience. So whether it's, automotive, liquids, for example, maybe it's at the hardware store. Instead of getting, 100 nuts in a package, maybe now you get, 75 and it's the same price. So it could be anywhere.
Wow. Okay. Now I'm very concerned. I wonder too, if this is going to continue. There's really nothing to prevent. I mean, at one point, I have to wonder, at what point will consumers notice? You can only make a package so small, right? If you're going to keep the price. If things keep going up in price, someone's got to notice this.
Yeah, and again, I think people do notice it from time to time, and it's sort of this pent-up pain, and sometimes there's this sort of relief valve where people will say, all right, well, you know what, that's it. I've had my limit of this, and I'm now going to switch to a competitor. But what will end up happening is that, these retailers will respond. So they're very good at getting as much money out of your wallet as long as they can, and they can kind of find that tipping point where you're upset enough, but not too upset that you're willing to switch to a competitor. So it's a pricing of items that we see, especially at grocery stores, is an incredible science.
Guess it doesn't make sense to complain to the grocery store, right? So that's not going to get you anywhere.
No, they're not going to do anything. If you want to complain, you have to vote with your wallet.
I will just ask one other thing. Does it apply? I was thinking as you were saying this, does it apply to fast food as well? Are we getting smaller portions there for the same price?
Probably if you look for it. I don't know any specific research, but I would not be surprised if, a medium-sized drink in the past used to be 500 milliliters, and now it's mostly ice and 300 milliliters of liquid. So well, I would not put that past anyone.
That should be your next project. I want to know if that's the case. I want to know if my A.W. Teen Burger actually contains less burger or anything else than it did before because the prices remain the same, because I guess they can only raise prices so far as well.
Maybe they'll change it to a tween burger.
Yeah, really. Just take out one of the E's. Oh, look, it's a 10 burger now. Preet Banerjee. Preet, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Take good care. You bet. We're all getting fooled here, right? The consumers, until we finally notice, if we notice.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.